Alright guys, Wednesday, August 16th, just coming up to 6:30 in the PM, and we're about to start doing a little bit of work on the Alfa. I've just got it pushed kind of halfway out of the garage because the object of tonight's effort is to move the TR250 over to the right and get it, it's kind of, you know, sort of creeping towards the center of the garage, so we want to move it back into the right side so I can get the Alfa up on jack stands so I can get under the car to do things like the exhaust and the gearbox oil, transmission, that kind of thing, and do a general inspection underneath. So in order to do that, I do need to move this car over because the Alfa is a little bit wider than any of the TRs I own. I think it is anyway. I haven't done the actual comparison live, but I think it's a little wider than the TR, so I need a little bit more room to get around the car. Right now I'm struggling to get the doors open actually with the TR250 so far over to the center of the garage. So what we're going to do is we've got the big jack. We're going to, obviously there's no suspension, no tires, anything on this car, so we're going to jack under the frame. I've got about 4 jacks total, and we're just going to move it over gently to the right hand side of the garage. So we've got to move a few things in order to make that happen, so we're going to start working on that. We'll come back when we make some progress. Alright guys, phase 1 of the move is complete. We've got enough room now on the left side and the right side, and we've got our jack standing by and our jack stands standing by. Running out of jack stands. We've got a couple under the trailer, that's 4 under this car. I've got 6 stands left. We're going to put them under the Alfa just to be safe, and a couple of jacks. So we're going to get busy and jack this up in the air for the first time and get that exhaust off there. Alright guys, we'll come back. Alright guys, phase 2 of the operation is now complete. Got her up on jack stands safely. Got 4 jack stands and 2 jacks under there, and the jacks are just there for safety in case something slips. Let me just grab a trouble light here and I'll show you where I've jacked it up from. So based on the knowledge from the Alfa forums, I've got the rear stands. Let me just get under the car here. Sorry for the shaky camera. Alright, so we've got the rear stands under the rear axle on either side. There we go. And then the forward stands are under, there's a sort of a structural piece that runs sort of half the length of the car. So we've got them under the structural pieces at the front that are inside of the jacking area. So that's the, where the flashlight is, that's the jack area. So the stands are just inboard from those. We've got one elevated jack, not supporting anything, it's just basically below that support structure towards the rear, and then we've got one towards the front just in case anything happens to slip or drop. So we've got a little bit of safety in there. So anyway, we'll get under the car and we'll take a bit of video. You can see the exhaust there just sort of hanging, and the catalytic converter further up, so you can see where the exhaust is broken off, and you can see where the exhaust is hanging here at the rear. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this rear exhaust piece off. It looks like it's only held on by one rubber mount, so we'll go ahead and remove that as the first thing we do on the Alfa. So I guess I should take a bit of a step backwards before I go forwards and tell you what I'm trying to accomplish on this car. Obviously this car is not intended to be a huge project at this point in time, so what I'm really trying to do is just get it ready for certification. So it's required to be certified up here, so it's got to go through an inspection process. In order to do that, I want to make sure that all the systems are operable, so all of the lights, all of the brake systems, all the hydraulic systems, etc. I also want to change out all the fluid, so I want to drain the tank of the old gas that's in it. I want to change the rear filter, fuel filter. It's got 2 filters, a rear fuel filter and an engine compartment filter. I also obviously want to change the oil and the oil filter. It does have a filter in the Spica injection pump that I want to change as well. Obviously I need to repair the exhaust. Now I got a bit of bad news on the exhaust today. 3 of the suppliers I've contacted don't have that piece in stock that runs from the bolts up to the rear of the catalytic converter and then bolts up to the rear muffler piece. So that's on back order apparently till mid-September, so we're going to have to wait on that, unfortunately. So a little bit of bad news there. So that's the intent on this vehicle right now anyways, just to get it roadworthy, get it safetied. obviously get the title transferred into my name. Up here in Ontario, it's required that I get a appraisal done in order for me to get the transfer of the title. I've got to pay tax on the car, and the tax I pay is on the appraisal value of the car. So we have to do that before we actually go through the, well, we can get the certification process done, but before the car is able to be registered in my name, it needs to be safetied. Well, technically it doesn't need to be safetied, but it would be classified as unfit for the road. So I'm going to try to get it ready for certification, safety certification, so I don't have to go through an extra step and I don't have to go back. So anyway, that's the what I'm planning on doing on this car. So like I said, I'm hopefully only going to plan about 2 weeks on this car before we move back to our Triumph TR250 project. We do have a few other things on the go at the moment, so we'll be out here sort of sparingly here and there when we got some time, and we'll work on it a little bit here and there. I guess I'm going to have to break out my metric wrenches, which I haven't had to do for the last number of years. Having worked on Triumphs, they're all SAEs. So anyway, got to dig the metric wrenches out. I believe it's metric anyway. Maybe I'll get a surprise once I get under there. I should mention one more thing for those of you who might be new to viewing my channel, since I've got some Alfa Romeo content now. So I generally just take some videos of what I'm doing on the car. In some cases you might find it helpful, in some cases you might find it totally useless. It might just be me rambling on. But I generally try to tell you at least what I'm doing and what I'm working on in the car, and I try to take you through the process as much as possible. So that's the intent of these videos. It may not be much of a learning experience, but it's more of a, let's say it's more of a vlog. You may get something out of it and you may not. So you may decide to keep watching, and you may decide to tune out after a period of time. Anyway, give it a shot. Here we go, under the car for the first time. Alright guys, there's the bolt and the rubber hanger that we're trying to get to. So it's a 13mm bolt that holds the rear exhaust on to this rubber mount. So we're just going to get ourselves a socket, deep socket, and we'll spin that right off of there, hopefully. I'm not sure how well these bolts are going to come off, but they look to be in pretty good condition compared to some of the stuff I worked on. So, and it's quite a bit newer than the 59 and 60 TR3s that I have, so we're hoping that this comes off without too many issues. We'll give her a shot. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but this car is in super nice condition under here even. So I'm really happy with the condition of the car on the underbody. All the rubber bits, even the fuel lines, look like they're in good shape. All the bushings look good. The bump stops look good. All the rubber. There's the axle strap there. And the bottom of the gas tank looks fantastic. Like I said, I don't know how you'll be able to see this, but bottom of the spare tire pan looks great. The disc's got a little bit of moisture on it, but we'll figure that out. Maybe it just needs a new gasket. It looks like it might just need a new sump gasket. So there is the fuel pump and fuel filter that I need to get to up there a little bit later. I think what we'll do for tonight is we will detach this pipe here from the catalytic converter. So we're going to move up to the middle of the car and unbolt that short pipe from the converter. And that'll probably be it for tonight. So here's the tailpipe that came off the car. As you can see, it's seen better days. I have a feeling that this got hooked on the transport trailer, and that precipitated this piece up here, which is pretty rusty, breaking off. But as you can see, the pipe was pretty rusty anyway. You can hear all the rust inside of it, and pretty rusty there. So this exhaust had seen better days anyway, so it's about time that we went ahead and replaced it. So that's what we're going to do. We'll move up to that center section. Alright guys, here's the catalytic converter on this beast, and I believe they ran with cats, or a catalytic, one cat, unlike my TR8 that has two cats. I believe they ran with cats from 76 on. Don't quote me, I'm just a new guy to Alphas, but I think I've read that they started in 76 for the cats. So anyway, we're going to detach this rear pipe from the cat and get that out of there, and then we'll be done for the night. So we'll go ahead and loosen these 3 bolts. Just noticing that the Alfa has these shields on the exhaust. On the TR8 they have the same type of shields, and they actually call them grass shields. I guess it's not to so as to not set grass on fire when you're parking on top of a field. So quick update for you, that top manifold bolt is being stubborn. As you can see, I've cut the exhaust off and we just have the flange to get back off. So I've got my trusty little Dremel grinder down here, and we're just going to grind the rest of that bolt head off, and then we should be able to get the flange off without any problem. That's what we're going to do. I could have brought the torch down here, but the torch is packed up and I'm getting a little lazy, so we weren't trying to save this pipe anyway, so like I said, we'll just get the grinder out and grind the top of that bolt head off. Alright, and there we go. Normally I would say Bob's your uncle, but in this case, Giuseppe's your uncle. The flange is now off successfully without any damage, which is good. So all we need to do now is wait for a new pipe. Our new pipe's actually new pipe from the converter back to the muffler and the muffler to tailpipe. So we'll wait on those and we'll move on to something else. We'll just have another quick little inspection under here, check some U-joints, drive shaft. Like I said, there's the fuel pump and the fuel filter arrangement. Yeah, it looks pretty good on here. Anyway, that's it for tonight, guys. We'll get back out here hopefully tomorrow night, and maybe we'll pull the fuel filter and drain the gas tank. That sounds like a fun job. Anyway, okay guys, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. Alright guys, so that's actually the fuel pump with the cover on it. So that's looking pretty good. Hopefully it's working okay. We won't know until we actually go to try to start this car and check the fuel pressure. And back here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, back here is where we're trying to get to. Maybe I can go through here. There is the fuel filter that I'm trying to get at. So that's tomorrow's task. We'll take that filter off, we'll drain the rest of the gas out of the tank, and that will be tomorrow's night's job after work. Alright guys, until then, talk to you later.